My name is Jianli Yang. I now I'm a human rights activist and scholar full time. I studied mathematics in China for my bachelor and master, and I went to school very early. I went to college when I was 15 years old, and I tried to be a good mathematician. I came to the United States in 1986 to study mathematics for my PhD degree in UC Berkeley. I focused my study until one day when the student movement broke out in Beijing Tiananmen Square. That was the spring 1989. And I went back to join the movement and narrowly escaped the massacre. I went back to China from US after I got my PhD from UC Berkeley, and I went on to Harvard to study political economy for my second PhD. I got it and continued my research, and I thought that was the time to integrate with the people and the movement back in China. So I decided to go back home. But I had no valid passport because my passport had been already expired. But I went back anyway with a friend's passport and managed to enter China to try to help the labor movement that had just broken out a few weeks ago all over China with the nonviolent strategies for resistance. And I ended up in prison, got arrested. So that's how I got into prison. When I first got there, they detained me in solitary confinement. I was kept in solitary confinement for nearly 15 months. I thought I would be ending up in prison. So I read a lot of stories about prison life, trying to prepare myself. Later, I learned no matter how much you do to prepare, you will never be ready to be in prison. Just like, no matter how much you prepare, you'll never be ready to be parents for the first child. So, so I ended up in prison. I, put in the solitary confinement. It's not the solitary confinement. The prisoners, for example, in this country would know because there's no books to read, no pen and paper to write anything, nobody to talk to except interrogators, no outside news. You just stayed by yourself, and I was reduced totally to a basic animal life. Yeah, just there are a lot of anxieties, worries, and regrets. And I worried so much about my family, my work, and a lot of anxieties because I had no idea whatsoever how long I would stay in this situation, a week or a month or a year or just the rest of my life. So that was the most difficult part. And I resort to prayer sometimes on an hourly basis. I pray to God, trying to get a message from God so that I can better understand the purpose of all that happened. And I prayed and prayed, and I could not but thinking the worst. And I thought I would spend the rest of my life in solitary confinement like that. I thought all my family members have had already abandoned me, and all friends had already forgotten about me. You know, these bad things, I just tried to push it away, but I couldn't. It kept coming to me. Now nobody knows where I was, nobody cares, and it's all forgotten. Why should I mention myself to get into this situation? Otherwise, I would spend, summertime enjoying, the beautiful Boston summer with my children, family. A lot of these kind of ideas kept coming upon me. I almost collapsed. I resort to prayer to sustain myself. And one day I try to remember some complicated English words that I had learned in United States because I tried to test how well my memory was still functioning. And it is to my scare, to my dismay, I couldn't remember those words. That scared me. And I was afraid that I would lose my memory altogether. So I had to find a way to overcome that. So later, I just resort to writing poems in my head. There's no paper, no pen, nothing. I have to do it in my memory, in my head. So every night, after I went to bed, there's no bed, actually just a board. And I spent 1 hour, 2 hours, even 3 hours doing these exercises, writing poems. I wrote more than 100 poems in my head, long and short. And the exercises I did was like, I remember every word of the poem, the structure. And sometimes I felt this word was not that good. I should find a better one. I found I could always find a better one. So it's a very interesting game. And I try to switch the stanzas, restructure the poem to see how that sound. And I did these exercises. And so that's how I spend my solitary confinement. During the day, as an inmate, I had to get up at a certain time, very early time. Then I had to sit on the board. There's no bed, only one board in the room. I sit there. The jailers forced the inmate to sit straight without any movement to reflect. They forced to reflect the crimes the inmate had committed and prepare ourselves for writing confessions later. And there was a breakfast, very simple breakfast. They threw the food in a double door, the small window down, not up, lower part of the double door, the small window. They threw that food into my cell. Then in the afternoon, there was another meal. We don't know what we should call lunch or dinner because there are only 2 meals a day. Again, very poor quality food. Then after that, sit up again. Now, during this time, I prayed, I kept praying, and sometimes, later, after I began writing poems in my head, I spend this time writing poems as well. And usually the interrogation took place after dark in the evening, and that can linger, that could linger into midnight, even the entire night to the morning. That's kind of a torture, interrogation, and they try to minimize the time of sleeping. So if you have never experienced that, it's really, really difficult thing to overcome. Is a torture, and it, in the night that I was not taken out for interrogation, I would lie on the board to write my poems. Doing very well with this situation, and I find myself busier than normal because suddenly I found a lot of things to do. As I talked to you before the interview, so that lot I'm writing up, and a lot of things I want to educate the international community about China, and a lot of things I want to say, and you can only imagine there are a lot of human rights violations, even during the pandemic in China, one kind or another, and we try to communicate with our people back in China as much as we can, and to try to find a way to hold the government accountable. So a lot of work. So I'm very, very busy, and doing very well. I spend my day just almost the same as I had spent a day before the pandemic. Only difference is I do everything at home instead of office. And of course, meeting is online meeting, and so just the same. But I insist doing exercises outdoor every afternoon, and I found more time doing the things that I had long desired to do, but never had time to do. Drawing, calligraphy, and all the things. This hobby, I'm very enjoying doing it now. First, we have to understand the quarantine, the lockdown, so-called lockdown or shelter in place or whatever you call it, social distancing. None of this is anywhere close to as extreme as the punishment of solitary confinement. That is torture. And but I know it is different from normal life. The first thing, if I could offer, would be you have to set up a new mindset very soon. Not thinking this is not normal. Actually, normalize it. You have to normalize the things that seems not normal. Otherwise, you will worry. There are a lot of anxieties keep coming upon you. You have to tell yourself, this may not pass tomorrow. I have to normalize it based on the new normal. Plan my life, daily plan, a week plan, or even a month plan. In doing so, I assure you, you will accomplish very much. And normalize the abnormal and make the most out of it. Second, I think it's a good time to not distract yourself from yourself, but take yourself deeper in yourself. I think everyone has something that he or she has long desired to do, but never found time to do it. This is a good time to do it. Reading, I think, is the minimum, and most people should do and can do. And reading will be very, very beneficial. And writing, if you like to write, I think it's best time to write. You can just write what's going on every day with your new normal. You'll find you can do painting, drawing, a lot of things. So you will find probably you are more equipped, more gifted, and stronger than you thought it would be. You will find a new meaning of life. And when I was in solitary confinement, when I began to write poems, so I had written poems in the in the past, but I could never imagine I could so proficient. I think this is a very, very special time given by God. You would, by yourself, you would not design life like that. To take yourself deeper in yourself, find more value and new meaning in your life. Third, many people in normal time are very busy, too busy to spend time with family, especially children. One thing I regret most in my life is that I didn't spend enough time with my child. So I think it's time to spend time with children. Probably you will understand each other more. So that would be very sweet. And last but not least, don't complain to God. Yeah, try to find a new meaning, the purpose of God for all this, and try to tell yourself, everybody suffers. Why not me? And we suffer as a human being together. There must be a deeper meaning that we cannot see, understand otherwise.